Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. So happy to be with everybody. Wade Neely sitting in the saddle, Mo out the rest of this week, but we have, ladies and gentlemen, in our midst, the one, the only. He does a little bit of this, he does a little bit of that, he does a lot for all of us here at Main Street Media, but he really plies his trade in Sumner County. He's the one and only Mr. Blaine Kellar. Blaine, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you, Wade? I like to joke with people anytime I get that kind of introduction. I am a twin, so I am not the one and only. There's someone who looks just like me who could be the second and other. But glad to be here today on Top 5 Tuesday, Main Street Sports Today.
That is good. That is good information.
Apparently may have lost Wade. My twin talk here might have knocked him out of our show here, but we'll continue on until Wade comes back. We've got a full show ahead for you today. Brendan Quinn of The Athletic set to join us in our first block. Also going over some Braves and MLB coverage. Chip Walters of MTSU, the Blue Raider voice, coming in, and Wade Neely's back.
Oh, my goodness. You broke my internet when you revealed your twin connection there, Blaine. I was getting ready to say, that is good information to know. I won't make that mistake again.
Well, I might actually be my twin right now. Who knows? I could just have Zach filling in for me right now, which is one of the luxuries of it. I don't. You can rest assured in that. But we were running through the rundown of today's show. Before we get into the rundown, Wade.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show today, and we're delighted that you're with us. Producer Mark making the magic happen behind the scenes, as always. It is Top 5 Tuesday. At the end of our show, we will close things out. Blaine and I will give you – it's ballpark season, folks, and Blaine and I will give you our top 5 ballpark concession stand items. I don't know that it will be contentious.
I've already got number 1 in my mind.
Yeah. I've got a pretty good choice, and – you might take mine. I might take yours. We're not real sure, but that will be our final segment. Also in that second hour, we will get into the grab bag, a lot to update you guys on. We will go #preps to pros. We'll talk about some things at the high school level. We'll get you some updates on college football, jersey retirement. So stay with us. You're going to want to be there for that piece of the puzzle. But we'll also talk NFL as well as potentially some NBA and NHL discussion. As Blaine mentioned a moment ago, kicking off the 2 o'clock hour, it'll be Chip Walters joining us, as he does every single Tuesday, unless he doesn't. The Blue Raider voice will give us an update on a monster weekend in Murfreesboro. Football Spring Showcase. There was some sad news that came out of Murfreesboro. We will update you guys on that. But we'll also talk about the baseball and softball series coming up as we head into Easter weekend. Still to come in this hour, we will get you guys an update on the Braves. I will try my hand yet again at this day in Braves history. Kind of a unique nugget on Braves history today that goes beyond the Braves and really kind of goes beyond the game of baseball. That's a little bit of a tease there. We'll also talk about the Braves picking up their win in that season opener yesterday up north. The Braves are 1-0, Blaine. Teams versus Canada. I don't know if that's a trend necessarily that means a lot, but they're undefeated versus
the Braves will take any win they can get at this point, it seems like. So, and your Astros are pretty much the same, I feel like.
Astros are in the same boat, and I was just getting ready to mention we will talk a little Astros. We will talk a little AL West. Bear with me and Blaine. It's kind of like a house divided in that sense. His Rangers, my Astros. We'll talk about series game 2 for Houston tonight and game 1 of a sneaky big series for the Rangers. Should be fun. We'll also talk about a big day in MLB history that they will be celebrating today. We talked about it on the show yesterday. Coming up in just a matter of moments, our good friend Brendan Quinn from The Athletic. Man, he does a lot for The Athletic covering college basketball, but he's also their guru when it comes to the Lynx. And he was on hand at Augusta. He will give us a recap on the magnitude of the moment that Rory McIlroy got all that pressure off of his shoulders, seemingly, with that big victory on Sunday. We'll also ask him about the Masters marker Are you familiar with the concept of the master's marker, Blaine, by chance?
I'm not. I'm not. Are you going to tease that for me? I hope enlighten me a little bit.
Yeah, we'll save it for our interview because it was something I only learned about this weekend. Producer Mark might have had some knowledge, but it is a wild concept. It doesn't always happen at the Masters, but when it does, it's kind of interesting. And then we will get into our top story here in just a matter of moments. But really, Blaine, it's a great show today, a big show today. The sun is out. The sun is shining. Have you been outdoors yet?
I did go on a run right before we got on the air today. Got a few miles in. My AirPods died in the middle of the run, and my watch died shortly after that.
Oh,
like everything was working against me except the weather today. It was quite perfect outside of all my technology failing on me.
Oh man, that is rough. And
I don't charge my stuff. I mean, that's kind of on me for not charging it anything. I just kind of let it die and then plug it back up. So
I've been there. It's not a great place to be. And while you were out running, I did get outdoors. I wish I should have sent this picture to producer Mark. I was getting adjusted at the chiropractor, which Blaine, I don't know if you've been to a Pulaski chiropractor.
I've not.
They're not all like this, but my good friend, he's kind of transitioning offices at the moment, and it's, let's just say, a rural chiropractor. So much so that I was outside with chickens. I was outside with some cats. I was inside for the adjustment, but I was getting tuned up, so hopefully I can get back out on the running course, much like you were today. But wild day to say the least already, and we're just getting started, but we're delighted that you guys are with us here. Without further ado, should we kick it off in style, Blaine? Should we get the people what they want? Should we give them the rundown?
The people are clamoring for the rundown, Wade.
I say we do it, partner. Let's get into yesterday's results and today's schedule. Let's get into the Tuesday rundown.
This is the rundown.
Baseball is the name of the game. Here are your scores from last night. High school action across southern Middle Tennessee. BGA picking up a 5-1 win over Columbia Academy. It was the same score as Summertown defeated Battle Creek last night. Brentwood topped Page 5-0. It was Clarksville Academy 10, Ezel Harding 0. Shelbyville with a 2-1 win versus Columbia. Creekwood 3, Sycamore 1. Davidson Academy all over DCA last night, 18-3. Loretto picks up a 13-6 win versus Deschler. Dixon County was a 5-1 winner versus Clarksville Northwest. Franklin County with a walk-off victory last night, 8-7 over Giles County. Grace Christian Franklin 1, Providence Christian 0. It was 5-0 as Station Camp defeats Greenbrier last night. I believe our good friend David Wilson was at that game.
Yes, he was.
He was planning to attend that one, so got to see Station Camp take care of business there. Other scores: Hampshire 15, Santa Fe 5. It was Hillsboro, a 15-3 winner over John Overton. Eagleville picks up a 19-6 win versus Huntland. Independence defeating Centennial 11-8. It was Marshall County 11, Lawrence County 8. MLK wins not one but two games versus Glencliff. Eerily similar scores, 17-0 in the first, 18-0 in the second. Good Pasture 11, Mount Juliet Christian 0. It was Lewis County 18, Mount Pleasant 4. Friendship Christian defeating Nashville Christian 13-4. Ravenwood picks up a 7-2 win versus Nolensville. It was Macon County 2-0 over Portland. Richland was a 12-0 winner versus Culleoka. Siegel 7, Beach 0. Franklin with a 3-0 win versus Summit. We're coming down the home stretch, folks, as Murfreesboro Central Magnet picked up a 2-0 win versus Tullahoma. Warren County blanking Spring Hill 6-0. Watertown 14, Jackson County 1. It was Liberty Creek 6-2 over Westmoreland. White House with a 15-4 win versus Montgomery Central. White House Heritage with an 11-1 win versus Trousdale County. And capping your baseball scores last night, it was Whites Creek 7, Maplewood 4.
We're on to softball here. Game Changer has yet to report a score for Murfreesboro Central Magnet and CPA. Not to worry, though, if you want to read more about the Lions, we've got a story over the past couple of weeks about them. Independence winning 10-3 over Columbia. Columbia Academy defeating Grace Christian Franklin 17-2. It's Cornersville 8, Culleoka 2. Greenbrier 17-4 winner over Gallatin. Stewart's Creek played in 22 runs against Laverne in a 22-0 win. Summertown blanks Lawrence County 11-0. Loretto blanks Battle Creek 15-0. High-scoring matchup here, Eagleville 16, Marshall County 6. Silverdale Academy power out east, defeating Oakland 3-2. Perry County 4, Mount Pleasant 1. Gordonsville, the 2-1 win over Smyrna. Tullahoma 16, Murfreesboro Central Magnet 0. So I suppose that's where Murfreesboro Central Magnet ended up playing as opposed to facing off against CPA. Little men's soccer action. The University of School of Nashville takes down Providence Christian 3-1. I believe that to be D2A Middle Region action. Girls flag football, Siegel an 8-7 winner over Smyrna. In the MLB, the Braves defeated the Blue Jays, like we mentioned, 8-4. And the Cardinals took down your Stros 8-3. The Rangers had an off day, in case you were wondering. And in the National Hockey League, the Utah Hockey Club defeats the Preds 7-3.
Tough one for Nashville last night. On to today's schedule, boys and girls. Baseball action gets underway at 4:30. All of these games, again, beginning at 4:30. Brentwood Academy is at CPA. Middle Tennessee Christian will be on the road at Franklin Road Academy. It'll be Friendship Christian capping our 4:30 games at Good Pasture. 5 p.m. showdown, DCA traveling to Nashville Christian. 5:30 start time for White House Heritage at Trousdale County. Huntland will be on the road at Eagleville. 6 o'clock window, Tennessee Heat at Fayetteville this evening. Franklin County will be at Giles County. 6 p.m. start time there. We'll be broadcasting that one tonight on Pulaski Citizen Live. Also at 6, Marshall County traveling to Lawrenceburg for a showdown versus LCHS Wildcats. It'll be Stewart's Creek at Lebanon. Tullahoma will be on the road at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Grace Christian Franklin traveling to Providence Christian. More 6 o'clock starts. It'll be Riverdale at Rockvale. Columbia travels to Shelbyville tonight. Clarksville Northeast will be at Sycamore. Monterey will be at Watertown tonight. Also at 6, it'll be Laverne at Wilson Central. Smyrna traveling to Cookville. Richland will be hosting Culleoka tonight. That game will also be broadcast on Pulaski Citizen Live. Ezell Harding will be at Davidson Academy. Blackman will travel to Oakland. And at 6:15 tonight, it'll be Montgomery Central at Fairview.
Got some big district series starting up on the rest of the baseball schedule at 6:30. Summit is at Franklin. Hillsborough is at Overton. Springfield traveling to Kirkwood. Hume Fogg at Lawson. Again, all 6:30 starts here. Mount Pleasant takes on Lewis County on the road. Westmoreland is at Liberty Creek, continuing that 6-2A series. Brentwood's at Page. Nolensville with its newly minted Vanderbilt commitment. They're at Ravenwood at 6:30. Green Hill is at Siegel in non-district matchup. Warren County's at Spring Hill. Battle Creek is at Summertown. Rossview at Clarksville is actually a doubleheader due to the fact that they could not finish their game last night. I believe they start earlier this afternoon around 4:30 to finish off a 7-7 game, and then at 6:30 or at the conclusion of the first game will battle again in that series. BGA is at Columbia Academy. Dixon County at Clarksville Northwest. Beach at Hendersonville. Two big rivals taking on one another at 7 p.m. Portland is at Macon County at the same time. Gallatin at Mount Juliet at 7 p.m. Greenbrier at Station Camp, another 7 p.m. start. And Independence and Centennial, that's Independence at Centennial, that's a 6:30 start. Moving on to softball, Overton is at Cane Ridge at 4:30. Richland and Loretto dueling in a doubleheader starting at 4:30 p.m. Page is at Summit at 5 p.m. Zion Christian and Christian Community going in TSIAA action at 5 p.m. Warren County is at Columbia, another 5 p.m. start. Sycamore is at Creekwood. Mount Juliet Christian's at Ezell Harding. Green Hill is at Gallatin. And Greenbrier is at Joe Burns at 5.
Other 5 o'clock start time tonight will be Mount Pleasant at Lewis County. 5:30 showdown as Riverdale travels to Blackman. Murfreesboro Central Magnet will be at Lawrence County. Giles County will travel to Marshall County tonight at 5:30. And Rockvale will visit Siegel. 6 p.m. start time for Laverne at Smyrna. Battle Creek at Summertown. Cornersville's on the road tonight at Santa Fe. And capping our schedule this evening, 2 games at 6:30, Gordonsville at Oakland and Wilson Central at Stewart's Creek. Let's go boys soccer here. 4:30 is your kickoff time for Friendship Christian at Ezel Harding. 5 o'clock showdown between Murfreesboro Central Magnet, who is at Marshall County. Also at 5, University School of Nashville will be at Middle Tennessee Christian, and Nolensville will be at Providence Christian. Lawson will travel to Hillsboro tonight for a 5:30 first touch. At 6 p.m., it'll be BGA at Columbia Academy, and Giles County will travel to rival Lawrence County this evening. Other 6 o'clock kickoffs include Shelbyville hosting Spring Hill. Harpeth will be at Waverly tonight. Culleoka is on the road at Wayne County. Community traveling to Zion Christian, and Green Hill will visit Gallatin.
At 6:30, Blackman takes on Rockville on the road, I should say. Battle Creek is at Summit at the same time. Lincoln County is at Columbia at a 7 p.m. kickoff. Laverne is at Cookville. Hendersonville's at Mount Juliet in district action. Oakland is at Riverdale. Franklin is at Siegel. Again, 7 p.m. starts for those games. And Smyrna at Stewart's Creek. In MLB action, the Braves continue their series in Toronto at the Blue Jays. That's at 6:07 p.m. First pitch on FanDuel Southeast and FanDuel South Sports Network. The Astros are at the Cardinals. That's a 6:45 p.m. first pitch. I'm unfamiliar with that abbreviation. Wade, can you help me out? SCHN.
Sports something Houston. MLB extra innings package is the best I can do for you.
For NBA action, the Grizz are at the Warriors at a 9 p.m. start on TNT and HBO Max. Sounds continuing a series at the Charlotte Knights, 5:35 p.m. start. Ladies and gentlemen, that is today's schedule. That concludes today's rundown.
Top story, as always, brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Make sure you check them out for all of your delicious daily deli lunch meat options. They are open from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. and everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. Once again, it is Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill, bringing you your top story. And Blaine, there's not a lot that really can be said at this point about the Nashville Preds. But if you're looking for it, man, if you tuned in, if you were one of the brave souls that either attended, like Lil Sis, or watched the game last night, Nashville was locked in a tight one, but they fall 7-3 versus Utah. Nashville actually got on the scoreboard first, opening goal from Ryan O'Reilly just 6 minutes in, but Utah strikes in a flurry, racking up 2 goals in the first period and then adding 2 more quickly in the second. Nashville claws back, though, making it 4-2 thanks to one from Luke Evangelista and 4-3 late in the second on a Michael Bunting goal. Unfortunately, that would be all the scoring for Nashville, but Utah was not done. They add a couple, Clayton Keller with 2 to open the third, and then they add a final one just 30 seconds remaining to win it 7-3. Grim season for Nashville, Blaine, and last night was kind of a microcosm of that. Just when you thought you were kind of in the game, in contention, things go awry.
There's one bright side, I guess, that if Preds fans are searching for it, or the fun stories, quote unquote, that you get on the last stretch of an NHL season, like this one that Nashville has. Russell Venozzi, our Predators reporter throughout the season, was talking about UMass product Ryan Ufko, who pretty much transported from the AHL team in Milwaukee to Nashville in a matter of 12 plus hours, and had seemed to impress Andrew Brunette and the team a little bit with his performance there. Of course, you can catch that article about his wild day that led to his debut yesterday on Main Street Nashville. I mean, it's kind of like the end of an MLB season, right? Where you have a couple of guys that maybe make the pangs of a losing season a little more enjoyable when you have a fun story of a debut here or there. Wade, I think you might be muted.
You're right. I was muted because I couldn't really repeat what I was thinking about the Preds right there. Because, yeah, it's been a tough season. They've gone through a lot. I think everybody is kind of just glad that we're at the end. They will close it out Wednesday night versus the Dallas Stars. Once again, that was your top story, brought to you as always by our friends at Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill in Columbia. On to bigger and brighter things. Talk about celebratory moments. There was a massive one on Sunday down at the Masters at Augusta National. And our friend Brendan Quinn over at The Athletic is here, and he will join us, giving us a recap from Augusta and talking about the weight that is now lifted off of Rory McIlroy's shoulders. It will be right on the other side of this timeout. Quick break, and we're right back into it here on Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Top 5 Tuesday rolling right along here on Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That is Blaine Kellar. Wade Neely here sitting in the saddle. Mo Patton out on vacation this week, but thanks to Blaine for filling in. Busy show today, busy week, and it is our honor to bring in our next guest. We talked about the Masters. We talked about Rory McIlroy a lot on the show yesterday, but we had to go to the source. And so with that being said, we had to bring in from The Athletic. He is the one, the only, Mr. Brendan Quinn. First of all, Brendan, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Brendan couldn't hear you there for a second.
Might be muted there.
There you go. I got it.
Yeah, we got you. We got you now.
These things out after 5 years of doing such things.
I am notorious for muting myself, so I sympathize with you there, Brendan. But hey, first of all, Brendan, before we go any further, friend of the show, Joe Rexroad, just tell us honestly, how devastated was he when Sparty goes down in the tournament? Give us the real tea.
Joe is as objective as they come. You know, I would never expect anything less of him. I think he has a child at this school. He's from here, from the school. It was I'm sure there was a little disappointment there. I will say though, that Michigan State run, they so outkicked their cover, not to use a football terminology, but they went as far as they were going to go. So I would imagine Joe and anyone else involved with the Spartans would be would have taken that result if you gave it to them at the beginning of the year, because I think I picked them like sixth in my Big Ten preseason poll. I didn't see any of
Wow.
this. That was like a duct tape job by Izzo, as there ever was one.
Maybe I was clueless. I picked Michigan State to win my bracket this year. I must have
Well, I
not
mean, they
known
had a
anything.
good year. I'm saying in the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, you look at that roster, it never quite made sense that they won a Big Ten. It was, Jace Richardson and just a bunch of kind of auxiliary pieces.
Well, we knew you'd give us the tea because when I asked Joe, my beloved Wolverines, I always try and bait Joe when he's on the show, and he never takes the bait. You're right. He's cool, calm, collected. So thank you for at least shedding a little wisdom. But Brendan, we do bring you on. Obviously, everybody was just gripped by the storyline on Sunday. But for you being there, can you kind of just put into words the magnitude or the weight of the that was kind of lifted? Give us just the vibe from Sunday at Augusta.
It was kind of all over the place. There was, at the beginning of the day, it was, can Rory do it? And then a half an hour into the tournament, or into the final round, the leaders going off, it was this sense of, how is this possible? How is he already down a stroke after two holes? It was just, for all like the questions of, would he finally rise to the occasion in one of these final rounds after what happened at St. Andrews, after what happened at Pinehurst, after what happened at LACC. It was just bizarre that it happened so quickly. And I was in the media center while that for those first couple holes, and people were just looking at each other in disbelief. I was looking at some of the Irish writers, and they're all just like hands on head, like, you've got to be kidding me. I can't believe we are doing this again. And then suddenly he was back up a stroke, and then he was up 5 strokes. And it's like, oh man, this is a coronation. Everyone, I got basically my whole story written. Brody Miller, who was writing like our live story that went up on The Athletic and NewYorkTimes.com, like, immediately when the final putt drops, he's already basically putting 30 on the bottom of that story. It's over when he's up 5. And then suddenly what happens at 13, he hits the most inexplicable pitch that you can imagine. I mean, again, just that constant disbelief. Disbelief, oh my goodness, he's going to do it. Disbelief, oh my God, he's blown it. Disbelief, he's done it. Disbelief, he's blown it again. And then out of nowhere, Justin Rose comes, and, the sense from the course is everyone's just running around. No one knows what's happening. The scoreboards are just going up manually, and it's just kind of oohs and ahs from different parts of the course because they're getting the results, 45 seconds after a putt actually falls. Then you hear a roar, and it's, oh my God, what's that? And it's, Justin Rose. What are you talking about, Justin Rose? So yeah, it was this just scattershot kind of circus situation. And, the lack of information at Augusta is what makes it so special. I don't think anyone would want to attend sporting events like that at all times where you just have no actual clue what is happening, but to do it once a year is special. And that was really Sunday at Augusta this year.
Absolutely. And I haven't been to the course. You're right. I mean, when you hear that roar on one side and then you're like, oh, what is happening? You just have this odd sense of time that just eludes you there. Kind of a real bizarre situation. You mentioned Justin Rose, of course. But I'm curious about Rory. In many regards, the coronation story, I feel like this question's been asked by a lot of folks, but the coronation story, is it not a little, certainly it is for the fans, it's a little, certainly more compelling the way that it all played out, right? It feels like he won the Masters 2 or 3 different times on Sunday in many regards.
I thought Tommy Fleetwood said it best. After Rory McIlroy came in and hugged everyone that there was to hug, including Shane Lowry and Tommy Fleetwood, fellow European Ryder Cup team members, guys that he's known for 20 years. Rory kind of went along his way, and Tommy hung back and talked to a couple of us. And, he said like how he could hit that shot on 13, the pitch shot that went in Ray's Creek, and also hit that shot on 15, the big right to left looping shot that like one person in the world can hit, and it's him. How the same guy can hit those two shots in 3 holes, like, what are we doing here, is what Fleetwood said. And he but that's Rory. Like that is Rory McIlroy. It is the inexplicable for the good. It is the inexplicable for the bad. And it was fitting, like if this is how he was going to finally win his 5th major and his first Masters and complete the Grand Slam. I don't know if it would have fit right or felt right if he just went and won by 5 strokes and it was some happy uneventful ending. It couldn't happen that way. That's not how the movie goes. The movie goes that we see basically him have to spill it all over the course, like every part of him, and he did. He showed all of his parts, good and bad, and that's how it was going to be. Like you look at the round at St. Andrews, which is a lot of people have kind of always really thought was the one that he should have won. That, like, it was the 150th at St. Andrews. It would have really been befitting, and he just parred his way through the entire. Like he never had a blow up, but he also never did anything. It was just par all the way along. That's not how he should win either. Like it should have been both scoring and losing, and of all people to be the first player ever to win the Masters with 4 double bogeys in a tournament. That's kind of says it all.
That is the ugliest winning scorecard you will ever see, right?
I would take it.
I mean, I certainly would. Don't get me wrong, but you're just not used to seeing that much color, that many squares on a scorecard.
When I shot 96 at Augusta, I had more than 4 doubles in that round, let alone 4 rounds. So yeah, Rory's way seems better.
Brendan Quinn of The Athletic joining us on Main Street Sports today. Brendan had a great story talking about Rory's win in The Athletic, his last seat at the table. And in there, just to kind of read a transcript of it, we've always wanted to understand the pressure felt by both young Rory McIlroy and old Rory McIlroy. You've kind of alluded to it here. Can you encapsulate what that kind of means, just the scope of his career and how it came to that moment at the Masters?
Yeah, I think it's so long ago now that I wonder how much we all kind of remember. He burst on the scene in 2011 with his performance at the Masters when he shoots the final round 80, and everyone knew he was a prodigy, but he blew that lead, and it was, oh man, what's the scar tissue going to be? Well, then he went out and wins a major by 8 strokes, and it's, oh my God, who's this guy? It's happening again, right? This was the end of kind of Tiger's real reign, and here comes this new guy, and it was, okay, this is the next one. It's from Jack, Tiger, right? And here's Rory, and he lived up to it for the most part. He wins 4 majors in his first 3 years, and is going to be the guy. And Jack, after Rory won his 4th major, it was a PGA at Valhalla. Jack Nicklaus said he's going to win 15 to 20 of these. So, like, when people say that out loud, when you get someone like Jack Nicklaus saying this guy's going to win 50, like, what pressure is that, right? Like, imagine, I don't think Tom Brady has ever come out and been like, Patrick Mahomes is going to win 9 Super Bowls or something. Like, you just don't say that about other players. And that's been the space that Rory has lived in for the last 10 years. And it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And as he's just gone on longer and longer, it kind of turned into this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of him putting this pressure on himself and all these great players saying he's going to join us. And if you're saying to yourself, how do I do this? And you kind of stop playing freely, you're stuck. And that's kind of what it felt like Rory was at for a lot of the last 10 years. He was kind of stuck in suspended animation there. And, a couple years ago, Tiger says, oh, He's going to win one. No problem. It's just a matter of time. He's definitely going to win one. That same week, Rory missed the cut at Augusta, and that's just what it's been. And I can't imagine what that feels like. That pressure of not just the pressure you put on yourself and the pressure that the fans put on you, but when it's those guys who are your actual heroes, Jack, Tiger, Tom Watson, Nick Faldo, on and on and on, who say, you're supposed to be one of us. You're supposed to be at the champions dinner with us every April. Why aren't you here yet? And that's got to be a really hard feeling. And I think a lot of the problems that Rory has had have stemmed from trying to navigate that. And you saw the catharsis that kind of came right off him when he finally won. And it's, I think, finally getting to be where he's supposed to be.
Immediate question coming out of this, Brendan, for Rory is this the start of kind of a real rejuvenation? He's been playing well, obviously coming into this term. Is this start of something big in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly make the case that the lid is off, and if he doesn't now, he suddenly gets to show up at majors, not having to answer the same damn question every single time. What does that do for you? And when you look at the lineup of majors this year, it's the PGA at Quail Hollow. Rory owns the course record at Quail Hollow, has won there multiple times. He would have been the favorite even if he hadn't just won at Augusta. I think he would have been the betting favorite to win there, even with Scotty Scheffler, just because of his course fit at Quail. Then the U.S. Open's at Oakmont. It's distance, it's U.S. Open conditions. That might be a little bit tougher because if they really turn the screws on those greens, who knows? But again, pretty good fit. Like, he's a pretty good fit for Oakmont. And then the Open Championship is at Portrush in Northern Ireland. Of course, he grew up playing a place where he will be, receive a kind of a hero's welcome and a hero's return. I went to Hollywood, Northern Ireland last summer after Pinehurst to write a story about the angst in the town. This place that's been rooting and waiting for this guy to win a major for 10 years. They used to have parties for every major that he played in. And over the years, as he stopped winning them, the parties stopped being held at the club. And everyone started watching them kind of at their house and stuff like that, unless he was in contention in the final round. And well, now that's all back, right? It's going to be a huge party. And if you remember the last time that the Open was at Portrush, he was supposed to win that one, and he shot a first round 80. And it was the pressure. It was clearly the pressure. And then what happens? One of his closest friends, Shane Lowry, of all people, goes on to win it, and he's the Irishman who wins at Portrush. Well, it might be Rory's time now. So I agree with your point. He has been one of the 1, 2, 3 best players in the world, basically at any given time for every year in recent history, even when guys like Scotty jump up or Rahm jumped up or Xander jumps up, like Rory's always been there. And now, like, this could be the summer where, man, a lot of special things could happen.
Talking with Brendan Quinn of The Athletic, breaking things down from Augusta, talking about Rory and earning that career Grand Slam. Brendan, I do have to ask you, though, one of the other interesting topics related to the tournament, of course, but I was unaware of the concept of the Masters marker. Can you kind of enlighten folks on what that is and why that is perhaps the coolest thing I think I've ever heard of? And I'm trying to sign up to figure out. First, I know my steps, but I got a long way to go to even consider that. But break that down for us.
You're talking about the marker who plays with the odd number man?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, it's very interesting. The current marker is also, as am I, a proud graduate of St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Played golf. A guy named Mike McDermott played golf at St. Joe's. Outstanding amateur golfer in the Philadelphia area, and has won the Pennsylvania Am and all those types. Just that guy, right? Who probably could have chased it, could have chased a career, but has really good business acumen and said, I'm going to go do that and just be an elite amateur golfer on the side. So he made a ton, makes loads of money in business. And then he's also this elite golfer who gets into the nicest clubs. So he's a member at Marion and Aronimink and Pine Valley and all these places that want him representing their clubs, right? Tough life for Mike. But
brutal.
eventually, right, he gets the interest of Augusta. And the purpose of the marker is that they don't, for a round at the Masters, if there's an odd number of players to make the cut, you don't want someone to have to go out solo. You need someone to attest to the score, and B, just for pacing, right? You don't want just someone out there by his lonesome 4 holes ahead of the first group. So the marker's out there to play with the last player, or I guess I should say the first player out on Saturday and Sunday. So whoever that odd man is, you play with Mike, and that score doesn't count. You're not on the leaderboard. It's strictly as kind of like a pace car, basically. And yeah, like Mike's a stick. Like he can shoot even par at Augusta. But I don't know what he shot. I didn't get to see him. But the annoying part is no one's allowed to speak for Augusta that's not the chairman. So in this case, Fred Ridley. So last year, Mike McDermott played, and I shoot him a text. I'm like, "Are you playing in the Masters? What is happening right now?" And we exchanged some texts, and I'm like, "Well, let's do a story." He says, "I can't. I'm not allowed to be quoted publicly because that's Augusta National Golf Club rules. Like, you are not supposed to be quoted as a member or a player or anything, or a representative of the club, unless it's in like a spokesman type role." So that's the story of the marker, and I'm proud that the marker's a Hawk.
Man, we didn't know that. And tomorrow, our guest co-host, Mr. Joe Sullivan, former sports editor at the Boston Globe, he's the big Hawk guy too.
Hawk. Wow, yeah.
It's coming full circle, baby.
Don't underestimate. There's a Sports Illustrated with Jameer Nelson in here somewhere. Over there.
I was going to say, we'll get Phil Martelli on the show tomorrow too, just to really spice things up, right?
Phil will do it. He'll talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. I'll shoot you his cell. He'll answer just on the spot.
We would love to do that. Blaine, any final thoughts before we get Mr. Quinn out of here?
Yeah, just curious the overlap. As high school sports reporter, kind of have that constant overlap of one season to the other, but writing for The Athletic, going from March Madness to the Masters, what is that like?
It's it's the best double in sports for sure. I am as I get older, it gets tougher for sure, bouncing back from 5 straight weeks, because it's this year I did the Big East tournament, so it was Big East tournament, then 3 weeks for the NCAA straight to Augusta, and everyone's always makes the joke of like, "Oh, you're like, it's like Jim Nance." I'm like, I don't think Jim Nance is flying Delta Comfort. I think he travels a little bit differently than I do. But it's fantastic. Like, it's one of the best days of the year every year is going to the national championship game, which is always like a 9 p.m. tip off on a Monday night, and then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, walking into the media center at Augusta, just kind of delirious. And they're 2 of the best events on the sporting calendar. As a lover of both basketball and golf, you couldn't ask for not only cooler events to cover, but better vehicles for stories. The national championship game this year, both of them, the semifinals and the title game. I was assigned the Duke Houston game in the semifinal, which was an all-timer, and then I had to write the running gamer for the national championship game, another all-timer with an unbelievable finish, and then off to Augusta to cover Rory, winning the Grand Slam. That's the type of stuff where, like, it's all pinch me moments. It's all stuff that if I got to talk to my 12-year-old self, his head would explode. So it's amazing, and I'm so thankful to the Athletic that I get to do this stuff.
Not a bad gig, to say the least.
Not a bad gig.
And we enjoy reading your stuff. We enjoy keeping up with the Athletic as a whole. And Brendan Quinn, thank you so much for joining us and shedding some light on a historic weekend at Augusta, my friend.
Appreciate you guys having me, and look forward to doing it again.
All right, thank you, sir. That was. You can follow Brendan on Twitter at BF Quinn. Once again, thanks to Brendan Quinn from The Athletic for joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Good stuff there, breaking things down from Augusta. Let's shift gears a little bit. Still with the stick, but instead of the golf club, let's transition to baseball. On the other side of this timeout, it'll be this day in Braves history. We will also talk about the other big events across the MLB docket tonight. Stick back with us, folks. It is the final segment in hour number 1 of Main Street Sports today. Blaine and I are back right after this here and presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
On this day, April 15th, 1947, this day in Braves history, Jackie Robinson makes his major league debut for the Brooklyn Dodgers against the Boston Braves. Robinson goes hitless, but he does score the deciding run in a 5-3 win at Ebbets Field. That was this day in Braves history. I mentioned it earlier, kind of going not just Braves history, not just Major League Baseball, but kind of transcending the game when we talk about Jackie Robinson making his MLB debut back on this date, 1947. Rolling right along here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. That's Blaine Kellar, Wade Neely here. And Blaine, the Braves, I don't know if folks are prepared to, start popping champagne yet, but they got a win last night. You got to start celebrating the little victories. David broke it down yesterday. Maybe start stacking some wins, maybe get some progress going. But a nice victory for the Bravos north of the border. They're undefeated, partner, in Canada thus far.
To me, this feels almost kind of similar to the equation that they had last year, where they would get someone back off the injured list and they'd play well. In this case, Austin Riley had 2 home runs, I think 5 RBIs, doubling his total for the season. But now Marcelo Zuna, day-to-day with hip inflammation. He did not travel with the team to Toronto, according to reports, is back in Atlanta for a bit more testing there. So just feels like this, I mean, for Braves fans, I'm sure they hope that the whole roster can get healthy as much as possible. You're not going to have Jurickson Profar for at least 80 games, but if you can get a couple of guys back and have performances like Austin Riley had, that'd be great. You just need to get everybody healthy.
I'm with you. And I've not said it on these airwaves just yet, but you said what I guess deep-rooted I'd been thinking. And I guess maybe I teased it yesterday. I akin to they're a ship that took on a lot of water, and now the water, they're patching holes and they're finding, different water leaks. But it's the same script kind of as last year. Yeah, just when you thought they had this fixed, something else happened, and so on and so forth. And, seemingly that's not going to be the case all season long. In a perfect, puppy dogs and hummingbird situation, everybody comes back healthy. And the folks that have been producing in their absence, that they fill in roles now as key role players. But with Acuna and Strider coming back, there will be a little bit of an adjustment period. David made this point too yesterday, Blaine, that the schedule has, the schedule. We're talking about it kind of like college football here in this sense, but it was a little top heavy to begin. Maybe you didn't think the Padres would be this good, but they continue to be one of the best, if not the best team, record-wise at least, in the entire MLB. So maybe there is a little something to this whole, hey, let's not hit the panic button just yet for these Atlanta Braves.
And that's one thing that I got to dog on David Wilson for a second. You're 4 games in and he feels like the season's over. We play 162 games in MLB and the Braves do. And they constantly in the past 2 years have had this problem. Like we mentioned, that illustration of patching water, finding a new hole, someone else comes on board. Alex Verdugo could be a guy like that, because the Braves have done a really good job on the flip side of things, like you mentioned, at finding players that can fill those gaps pretty well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to monitor them. I also made the point, the only thing that is concerning for me, you feel confident about being able to leapfrog past the Nationals and the Marlins, but the fact you have to overtake the Phillies and the Mets, now 11-5, the Phillies 9-7. You feel a little better if it was just one of those teams, right? But 2, it will be a little bit more of a challenge having to leapfrog 2 really good teams.
That's what my thought was at the beginning of the season, was that this division was going to be really tough to begin with for the Braves because of what the Mets did. And they have injury problems of their own, and because of what the Phillies continued to do. But honestly, I wouldn't, be giving so much slack to the Nationals either. This is a team that could have kind of a breakout season here. They've got the young talent to do that.
Okay, well, Braves fans, stay tuned.
They don't like to hear that. Braves fans don't want to hear that. But I'm not saying the Braves would be worse than the Nationals. But I don't think, they're not a pushover like the Marlins is what I'm trying to say.
I understand, and you might be onto something. Braves will go back again tonight at 6:07. Spencer Schwellenbach is set to be your starter. And Mo and I have mentioned this a couple of times, Blaine. Schwellenbach, for a guy that, kind of baptism by fire last year.
Yeah.
And maybe by taking on, some of those warts, if you will, or those battle scars from his rookie season, getting thrown into the fire, he's come out stronger. As recently as last week, he was 2nd or 3rd in your betting odds for the NL Cy Young, which is kind of crazy to think about, that a guy that on paper is certainly your number 3 starters when Strider comes back, the fact he is up that high and has pitched so well thus far, that's got to be exciting, certainly for their chances tonight, you would imagine.
A couple weeks ago, I caught the back end of the Braves' first win, I think it was, against the Marlins, where Schwellenbach had 8 shutout innings. And I walked in at the middle of that game, and I thought, well, Schwellenbach's on the mound. They're not going to be that good. The Marlins might have a chance at this one. But he had, I think, 5 or 6 no-hit innings to that point. He's pitched really, really well. I've been kind of shocked by his leap from that first year to now.
I'm with you. Couple games ago, I should say, double-digit strikeouts. So not bad for a guy that, again, that's by all intents and purposes your third starter. Strider is set to go tomorrow. That'll be a noon, just shortly after noon game versus the Blue Jays to cap that series. They do get Minnesota and St. Louis back-to-back at home. So we will update you guys on the Braves as tomorrow taps in. Blaine, we teased this earlier. We talked about it. It's a house divided here. Give me your take on what you've seen thus far out of the American League West with your Rangers and my Astros.
Well, there's a lot of it that I honestly like. And this is an AL West for once that feels like it's not going to be, two teams that have a winning record and then the other three have, anywhere between 83 to 100 some odd losses. I got to give a lot of credit to Ron Washington right now, who former Rangers manager, former Braves assistant coach, who's really turned the tide in his second season in Los Angeles. They're atop the AL West with the Rangers right now and have a big series on tap there. The Athletics are kind of this exciting team with, again, kind of like I've mentioned with the Nationals, they've got young talent. They made some free agent acquisitions for once. They've got a big bat on the way in the minor leagues as well. And Seattle's just a tough out too. I know the record doesn't show it, but that pitching, you don't want to go up against that pitching. And I think the Texas Rangers just proved that last week. And I won't say anything about the Astros because I don't want to be mean to you, Wade, but
that's okay. What's happening, though, is the Astros, I've said this from the start of the season. There's 162 games. And if you live and die on every single game and you watch every single game, number one, that's just too many man hours. And then number two, it'll make you rip your hair out. And I've already got too many early grays to need that. But I just got a few more added because they did lose. One thing, I don't care what they do in the division, but I don't want to see them losing to the Cardinals. But that's just an old rival. But that's what happened last night. They fell 8-3. They'll go back again tonight at 6:45. And shout out to producer Mark, who dropped a nugget. SCHN, that's the Space City Home Network. So the next time
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Never in a million years. So that's why producer Mark is the best. Thanks for digging that up. But Astros will go again tonight. The Rangers will get back in action. But before we get out of this segment, we did want to make mention, you will watch a lot of games tonight, and you will see the 42s out there. MLB celebrating Jackie Robinson Day. We already kind of touched on it in our This Day in Braves history. But everybody, players, managers, coaches, all going to wear the Dodger blue and 42s on their backs. I make this joke every time, but I'm glad I'm not the statistician for these games. Keying in number 42 and trying to figure out who's who would be a challenge, but this is a challenge we're taking on because of what this day represents, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So make sure you pay special attention to that. Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in 1947, and Hall of Fame induction in 1962. It wasn't that long ago. I feel compelled to point that out to folks that we're talking about him breaking that barrier in 1947. Wasn't that long ago. So make sure you stay tuned for that this evening. That will wrap up our MLB segment here inside this first hour. That will wrap up our first hour as a whole when Blaine and I return. The pride of the dimple, we like to call him. Recent TSSAA Hall of Fame inductee, the one, the only Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, will join us. We will get an update on a massive weekend in Murfreesboro. They had events here, there, and everywhere across town. And Chip will join us for his segment on the other side of this timeout. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll catch up with him here after this break. Hour number 2 on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia, comes your way right after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We're back for the second hour of Top 5 Tuesday, Main Street Sports Today. I'll let Wade continue to vibe out there on the left. Wade Neely, Blaine Kellar joining you here.
I was jamming, baby.
We're joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, talking a little Middle Tennessee State football, baseball, softball. Chip, are you there with us? Might not have Chip here. Might be missing Chip.
Chip might be frozen.
Yeah,
a rare froze. It's too warm to be froze right now, Chip.
That's right. You were frozen there for, of course, at the opportune time of making the transition. But it is it's a beautiful day. It's not as warm as it looks when you look out the window, but a little breezy, but a beautiful day here in Murfreesboro.
Chip, you had the spring football showcase for Middle Tennessee State over the past week. Curious if you could give us maybe a recap of that. And I was wondering maybe about the biggest position battle that happened during that span.
This year they changed the name of it because you look across the country and the number of actual spring games that actually happened have dwindled tremendously. So they called it Spring Showcase. And I think there, like you mentioned, there was a lot of positions that are, pretty much nailed down. Nick Vattiato had one, maybe two series that he was out there, but it was, it was set up like a practice. You had 14 different periods, 3 of which were used by young kid competition. So really actually 11 periods of practice. And it was divided up basically between backed up to your own goal line coming out, goal line going in, middle of the field. So each one of those different areas had like 2 periods or 10 minutes worth of work. And so as far as position battles, there's such a good bit of turnover these days that I think, every position for the most part is going to be up for grabs. Obviously, I think a lot of it was to take a look at a bunch of wide receivers that were new to the roster. Also, Middle's got a couple of 6'4", 6'5" cornerbacks defensively that are new to the roster. I was interested to watch them, and so they a lot of times, in years past, Middle's had 5'10", 5'11" corners,
Yeah.
and sometimes you get in a matchup with a big receiver. I was kind of interested to watch how having a big corner was gonna match up and work out. And these guys obviously in limited action on Saturday, but it's nice to have them out there. Middle looks bigger along the offensive line, and not everybody is in school just yet. You have a handful of freshmen who were December graduates that are already there. You've got several more coming in. You've got and then you've got your transfer portal guys who several of them are already there after the early transfer portal period. And you've got another transfer portal period, as we all well know, coming up. It'll open up on Wednesday. So I think, last year after spring ball, Middle, I think there were 43 different new names that came to the Blue Raiders out of the portal after spring practice, which that when you look back at the timetable of when Derek Mason took over the job, kind of made a little sense that, they wanted to kind of get their feet on the ground, and they used that later portal period to their advantage. Now, this time around, the Blue Raiders already signed. One interesting note that Derek told me, guys, is that of the high school class they signed a year ago, so at the end of the 23 season when they first got here, they had not made a home visit to any of the whatever it was, 16, 17, 18 guys that they signed in December, simply because they had been here 5 days on the job. And so they were trying to put that class together. This year, of the 16 or 17 high school kids that they signed, they had made home visits in every one of them.
Wow.
So they had that. They had the other portal period where they had more time with. So this year, the expectation is that you may have about 10 faces that may change after, in the late portal period. So that's what's going on there. We saw a lot of special teamwork. It was a very controlled, scripted type practice with, scrimmage periods placed throughout. So I think they accomplished what they wanted to do, 15 practices. And I heard Coach talking to the team, everybody taking a knee at the end of practice on Saturday, and basically said, they'd had a solid spring, and he was proud of their efforts, and just kind of set the table for what was coming next. And that would be, individual workouts, strength conditioning, things like that.
Absolutely. And Chip kind of walked in there, but I was curious. Derek Mason hired, early December in 23. So we got the spring in last year. Is there still kind of a little element of just getting familiar? Did he? I imagine he had to feel a lot more comfortable this go around, and certainly probably everybody else.
I think so. And I think a year ago in that December, and it's interesting. Derek is a guy. He does not. Derek uses words and specific words on purpose. And he, one of the things he has done, he has gone and he now calls the December signing period, which typically is going to be mostly high school players. Mm-hmm. And he calls it the draft. That's what he calls the December signing period. He calls the portal periods free agency. So he's kind of given it the NFL nomenclature there. But I think, he talked about it a lot, right? When they signed that December class, that he felt really strong about that group. And it was pretty heavy mid-state kids too. There was a ton of mid-state kids in that signing period, but he talked a lot about, knowing the character issues, all of that kind of stuff much more deeply in each one of those guys, other than, a year earlier, you almost had the feeling, okay, it's signing day. Somebody fired a starter's pistol, and and we've got scholarship papers coming in. So, I think they felt much more about it, much more strongly about it, and in particular because the staff had been together for a year. There were no major changes in his staff from year one to what we are now going into as year two. Doesn't mean there won't be at some point during the summer if some job comes open somewhere, but this group is going to be together for a second straight year. And from a continuity standpoint, in particular, when you look at the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and you have the luxury of having a starting quarterback return who is talented, that I think that bodes well. Does it mean you're going to win 12 games next year? No, but I think you go into it feeling much more confident about and knowing your group much better. You've got a running back in Jaquel Middlebrook, who's kind of solidly at number one right now, and you're having position battles as you mentioned. I think at a lot of the backup positions, the guys who are returning at quarterback, running back, in a few other spots. Jonathan House at linebacker, some of those guys, Parker Hughes. I mean, those guys are kind of entrenched, and so a lot of the battles are either number twos or in positions that do not have an incumbent starter coming back.
Chipper Walters joining us on Main Street Sports today. Wanted to switch gears and talk a little bit about baseball. Got a big series coming up against Western Kentucky over the weekend, facing off with Belmont tonight. Some of my local viewership would probably be interested to hear your takes on this. Brett Vondelin, former Full Count Rhythm member over the summer, played in the Prospect League with Full Count Rhythm. He's hitting .310 with I think it's 14 home runs.
Yeah,
what's his jump been maybe from last year to this year?
And really, I think there's no magic elixir that's been there. I think just solid time in the cage over the winter. They're fortunate they've got a great indoor facility where he can get swings in every day. And Brett Vondelin has been, he's hitting with a ton of power this year. Middle's hit a good bit of home runs, and Vondelin has been right there at the beginning of it. This past weekend, Middle had Louisiana Tech, who was leading the league at home, and they had a one-run game on Friday that went Tech's way. Saturday had an absolute gut-wrencher of a loss where they had a 5-run lead going to the top of the ninth and had 3 errors and 2 home runs given up in the top of the ninth and ended up losing 10-8, but came back on Sunday, to their credit, bounced back, got a complete game from Chandler Alderman and had 10 strikeouts on the day, and got a win and to salvage a win out of that series. Now they've got a big series against Western Kentucky. One of the real secrets maybe in college baseball right now is that Western Kentucky has the lowest team ERA of anybody, not in Conference USA, but in all of Division I college baseball. So
wow.
They have put together quite a year. They started off, I think, 21-3, and they're right there around the top of the league as well. They're coming off a road sweep of Liberty. So because of Easter holiday this week, that this weekend series in Bowling Green will be Thursday night, Friday at 3, and then Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So 3 games starting Thursday. They'll have Easter Sunday off. But a little midweek action this afternoon. Matter of fact, starting in about 45 minutes at Rose Park, Middle and Belmont will be playing for the second time. And I'm trying to think in my head with this wind that's going on today.
Yeah.
Trying to get in my head which way Rose Park is situated, whether it's going to be a good day for hitters or a good day for pitchers. So, but somebody's going to have an advantage.
I'm with you, Chip. I'm calling Giles County's game tonight. My mom asked me, she said, what about this wind? And I was like, well, it depends on if it's blowing in or blowing out. We could have some dingers or we could have a pitcher's duel. I want to ask you, Chip, historically, what's that series look like just in terms of, Western and Middle? One team got the better of the other in your mind?
Well, in the last few years, Western has had the better of it. Middle went for a long time and had a big lead in the series, but they've been able to turn things around in that series a bit over the last couple of years, 3 to 5 years, and has been their advantage. Obviously, I think this year they are loaded in the pitching category. It's going to be, like I said, Middle's had a good year at the plate. So it's going to be kind of the irresistible force against the immovable object a little bit here with Western's pitching against Middle's hitting. But I think the key to this series may be what is Middle's starting pitching going to do in this series, because Middle's had good starters, and where their downfall has come a lot of times is if the starters get knocked out and you had to go deeper into the bullpen. That's where some of the issues have come. The other thing is the Blue Raiders must play good defense on the road this weekend at Nick Dennis Field in Bowling Green. Like I said last week, had a game in the bag, had a 5-run lead going to the 9th on Saturday, but committed 2 major errors to start the top of the 9th inning that just opened the floodgates and allowed Louisiana Tech to get a couple of gigantic home runs that all of a sudden turned a 5-run lead into a 2-run deficit. So, you've got to play solid defense and get good pitching. And, breaking news, that's nothing any different than any other weekend. It's the recipe that tends to work.
Those little things go a long way when you're out there on the diamond. Chip, speaking of diamond real quick, give us the latest on softball. Last we spoke, they were clubbing home runs at an insane clip. Has that trend continued?
It has, but their streak was actually broken at 23 games.
Okay.
They in the middle game of the series against Western Kentucky, they won 2 out of 3 against Western last weekend. But the Saturday game, they were held without a home run. They did come back, hit a couple of dingers on Sunday. So they have hit home runs in 24 of their last 25 games. Oof. They don't have a midweek game this week, but will be at home against Jacksonville State for a conference series this weekend. And, I don't know if you've been to the softball park at Middle. It's over on the backside of campus near the campus.
Not in a while.
Yeah, and they've really done a lot of work on it. It's got a video board. They redid the stands, and that place was absolutely jam packed all weekend. And of course, if Middle and Western play tiddlywinks, it's gonna draw a crowd and a crowd that will have high emotion, and that was the case last weekend. Middle has a player who transferred in from the school up north, and who was part of the home run parade on Friday night. And there was a little bit of yapping, maybe a little gamesmanship. When that happened, because some emotions kind of came out there. But it's they're having a fun year right now, and kind of right in the middle of the pack of things in Conference USA. And and this week at home with Jacksonville State, they certainly want to be able to take at least two, and preferably if they could get a sweep against the Gamecocks this weekend, that would be a big deal heading toward tournament time, because their tournament will start a week prior to baseball. So they have they've got 2, maybe 3 weeks left in the regular season, and then they'll get into tournament play.
Well, it's good stuff, Chip. That kind of answers everything that I would want to know about the Blue Raiders baseball and softball. Wade, what do you got? You got anything else?
Yeah, Chip, we've talked about a lot, but we would be remiss if we didn't bring up there was some sad news out of campus. Fill us in on the latest as tragedy kind of falls on MTSU.
Yeah, Carter Manath is a member of the golf team. He's from Texarkana, Arkansas. And last weekend, the middle men's golf team was playing at the Tar Heel Invitational over in North Carolina, and Carter's dad and his and I think I have this correct. His parental grandparents were in a private plane flying to over to North Carolina to watch, and their plane went down in the Cherokee National Forest, down around in Polk County, down around Cleveland, Tennessee, down that way, and everyone on board was killed. His dad was killed, and his grandparents were killed. His mother had not made the trip, but his maternal grandparents had already gotten to North Carolina, and had to tell. They were the ones who told him what had happened, and the university made sure they've got him and his grandparents on a plane back to Nashville, and then on to Texarkana. But it is. We've had some situations. I think back, about 12 years ago when we had a women's basketball player, Tina Stewart, who was murdered. This, is not a student athlete, but the immediate family members. But it's one of those where, everybody kind of locks arms and comes together and supports, and that, golf is an individual sport that, fortunately in college you play as a team, and Coach Mark McIntyre and his team are very, very close. They're a tight unit. And so they all were there to lift up Carter Manath, and the entire Blue Raider family has reached out and has been there for that family. It's not anything you would ever wish on anyone that you deal with, and for someone who is a college golfer to lose his dad and his grandparents in such a manner is it shows you the love they had for him, because they were going out of their way to be there to support him in that tournament. Now, they turn around and will play in the conference tournament coming up later on this week. The women's tournament going on, it started yesterday, and right now middle on the women's side is in 5th place after 2 rounds, with the final round coming up, and they've got they're in striking distance of 2nd or 3rd place if they can put together a good day tomorrow. So, but the Carter Manath story, certainly a sad one, but so if you're out there and just hug your folks a little tighter and let them know you love them.
Absolutely. And Chip, obviously any loss of life is an unfortunate situation, but I am impressed in a way by MTSU's continued ability to, even for a massive campus in a bigger city, it still has that small college kind of feel, in the sense that everybody is impacted, and that kind of love and outpouring was kind of on full display with this situation, unfortunately.
Certainly was, and you've got a campus of over 20,000 students, but you've got kind of a mini city within that small city itself, you've got about 400 student athletes, and they're seeing each other day in, day out, whether it's in study hall or whether it's in athletic training room or strength and conditioning. So they're around each other a lot. So the sports do mix a good bit, and they're all there to pick it up.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, Blue Raider Voice. You can follow him on Twitter at ChooseChip. Chip, I got to ask you before we get out of here, what are your Easter plans? Is there a menu that is always served, or is there an Easter egg hunt involved? Give us your deets.
Well, there will be, I will actually be coming to Murray County on Easter Sunday, and some family friends get together with, I kind of horn in on their family, and there will be about 40 people there, and there will be everything. Easter is more of a ham holiday than a turkey holiday, but there will be some fried turkey there, all the sides that you can imagine. Hang
on, what's this address? What's this address again, by the way?
It'll be out on Carter's Creek Pike. I'm not going to give out the number, but it'll be out on Carter's Creek Pike, and plenty of desserts, including one that always gets requested. It will be one of the participants makes a really good homemade chocolate pie. So that will be part of it coming up on Sunday, and there will be some plastic eggs out there for the younger set to go look after. The rest of us will be looking for a place to kind of get ready for a nap.
Sounds like I'll be knocking on doors at Carter's Creek and just be trying to find where this is at. Yeah.
Just do not take a very high box truck out Carter's Creek Pike. If you know, if you follow the Carter's Creek can opener on Facebook, it's crazy. I grew up out Carter's Creek Pike, and I could probably count on my one hand the number of vehicles that ever hit that bridge, up until 10 years ago. And now it's about one every other day or once a week or something like that. It's crazy. But so if you're going out that way, take it easy and just know how tall your vehicle is.
Well, we'll make sure and check Blaine and I's clearance before we get out there. Chip, thank you as always. Mo returns next week. We will get back into it. We look forward to joining you next Tuesday, unless we don't. But you've been on a good run here, so hopefully we will. And enjoy your Easter weekend. Enjoy the Blue Raider activities, and thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Y'all have a great Easter as well.
You as well. Thank you, Chip Walters. He, again, is the Blue Raider Voice. You can follow him on Twitter at ChooseChip. Always good to catch up with our good friend, the pride of the dimple. Blaine and I will be out knocking on doors, like he said, on Sunday with that kind of spread. That was sounding pretty good to my knowledge. Producer Mark even said, hey, throw a few peeps in there for him. So
not a peeps guy. You a peeps guy?
Nah, not a peeps guy. I'm not going to lie.
Mark's in the minority here then.
Yeah, that will not end up on my top 5 list, which is a great segue, by the way, because coming up at the end of our show, Blaine and I will talk not Easter food, not peeps certainly, but we'll give you our favorite foods from the concession stand. It's ballpark season, and Blaine and I will debate that in our final segment here on Top 5 Tuesday. But when we come back, we'll dip into the grab bag. We'll go preps to pros, talking TSSAA, talking some college football, and also talking Blaine's thoughts on the upcoming NFL draft. It's all part of the final half hour here on the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number two. Yeah, hey.
Hey, Neely.
Yeah, what's up, Blaino? Hour number two of Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Producer Mark Rogers making the magic happen, keeping me dancing. I'm in a vibing mood here today. But it is the grab bag, Blaine, and man, we've got a lot to get into. Don't even know if we'll get into all of it. But I do want to start because this was a story that you yourself. Man, it's not every day, folks, and this is why we love having Blaine. This is why we love having our colleagues at Main Street Media join us. Not every day that you just get to break news and come on the show at the same day. Leave some for the rest of us, partner. But tell us what is going on and the news that you reported today as Good Pasture made an announcement.
Yeah, it was a good hat tip to David Wilson once again, who got the scoop on this and passed it along to me. Good Pasture hiring its next boys basketball coach and Ensworth assistant Holden Mobley. Mobley played at NBA, won a state championship, which was later vacated from NBA in 2010. He was a Mr. Basketball finalist, was the state tournament MVP in 2010. After that, went to play 4 seasons at Belmont. Was in 3 NCAA tournaments, appeared in all 3 of those in the latter stages for the Bruins. He went on to assist at NBA for a few seasons. Then after that, made it over to Ensworth, where this past year he coached Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year Jonathan Sanderson, and Ensworth, of course, making its first Division II AA state semifinal since 2019. So resurgent year. Leads to this opportunity for Mobley. He also coaches for the Nashville Stars and their Under Armour circuit. Seems like a pretty good hire. We'll be talking with him once I get off the show today, get some quotes. But yeah, I mean, I think you wanted a guy who knew how Division II worked. For the success that Good Pasture has had, you had to find somebody that kind of had an idea of how to play in this league, even if it's a step down from D2 AA.
Yeah, that's what jumps out to me, right, is not saying it's a secret society by any means, but having somebody that knows the language of D2 is such a massive benefit. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a better coach, but there certainly is a massive benefit to knowing the language, knowing the system, and I'm not sure how much that plays a factor in all of these coaching searches at those levels, but it certainly can't hurt. And that's why I was have enjoyed reading this story, because considering the timetable, late March, Patton, departs, and then boom, here just 15, 16 days later, we're talking about what seems like a really good hire. This seems like a win on the hire front, and it also certainly seems like a success in terms of your stability and keeping your program going in the right direction.
Yeah, Good Pasture might be missing a couple of pieces. This isn't going to be the Cougars team that it's been the past 5 or 6 years. As I mentioned in the story, they're going to be without D2A, Mr. Basketball, Jaden Jones, Tennessee State signee who graduates, as well as King Curie, another guy who graduates as a guard. This isn't listed in the story. It's more so based off of sources for now. Good Pasture won't confirm it. But their star freshman, Josh Huggins, who played down low at center for them last year, is reported to also be transferring out of the program. So they're not going to be this star-studded roster that they've had the past couple of years. This is going to be, as I mentioned, a clean slate. So the opportunity to have somebody who's kind of seen how Ensworth rose from maybe a not-so-great position, seeing NBA's consistent success, even Belmont's consistent success. I mean, he was around Rick Byrd. So this guy knows what consistent winners look like. And I think that's another benefit when you talk about taking over a D2 power like this.
Ain't no doubt about that. Real quickly, Blaine, where can everybody find that story? Give us the official plugs.
That is on Main Street Preps and Main Street Nashville. It will be in Main Street Nashville next week in print. Fingers crossed on that. Also, if you look up at sports_BK on Twitter, if you're not here already on X/Twitter, you can find the link there.
Perfect. Thank you for your dogged reporting there. We'll let you catch up with Coach just as soon as we conclude our show today. While we're talking preps, let's go ahead and wasn't sure when we should drop this story, but some big news comes down from the TSSAA. A lot of folks might not necessarily know who Gene Manise is, but the assistant executive director of the TSSAA, a guy that has been with that organization for 3 decades. News coming down per an official TSSAA announcement that effective August 31st, he will be departing. And this is a guy that has been a fixture in an organization that has had a lot of fixtures. He has certainly been right up there as one of the strongest links. But Blaine, a guy that has done a lot of different roles, is stepping away. And we just wanted to make sure we gave him his shine because, man, any interaction that I've ever had with Mr. Manise has been fantastic. And he certainly, which I find interesting, right? Because he's in charge of the officials. And I've got a couple friends that are officials, and they're kind of trembling when they know that Gene's in the building. So a guy that's kind of got a rep as, really kind of a taskmaster, a tyrant maybe a little bit. He could not have been more kind. He could not have been more gracious the times that I've had the chance to talk to him. So well-deserved on him in his retirement.
Well, I'll say, give your flowers to Gene for sure in his storied career. And kind of like you mentioned, any interaction that I had with Gene, the context surrounding it was not typically a great thing. For a reporter reaching out to the head of officiating, there have been a few instances. I can recall a couple springs ago where, Joe Burns had a couple instances where there was a Joe Burns East Robertson game where an official took the fans out of the game, told them they had to leave. There was another one, Hendersonville-Portland football game this year where an error made in the final minute allowed Hendersonville to win, an officiating error. And then, this basketball season, there's always something that kind of comes up in regard to having to work with Gene. And he's always been so correspondent with us and getting us those reports and keeping us up to date on anything that might have happened involving officials and stuff. And as a reporter, you really tip your cap and say thank you for doing that because, sometimes that's not always the case in high school sports. Things get buried sometimes. So for a guy like Gene to be so communicative with reporters and passing along information, we say thank you.
No doubt. And other interesting subplot is, he was a teacher and coach at DCA and Davidson Academy, played baseball at Vanderbilt, drafted by the Padres. But in addition to all of that, he was a collegiate official. And that's kind of how I initially got to know Gene a little bit, was he would referee some of our games at Martin Methodist College during my time in their SID department there. So props to Mr. Manise. Storied career, well-deserved, and best of luck to him and the TSSAA. We're going the preps. Let's shift gears a little bit into the college ranks before we get into the pros. Real quickly, we'll talk much more about this tomorrow, kind of like you, Blaine, with the guy that broke the story. Joe Sullivan with Main Street Nashville will be our special guest host tomorrow. But he breaks news that Kevin Carroll, formerly of Trevecca Nazarene right there in Nashville, doesn't have to move very far, but he is taking a new job. He is going to take over as the new head coach of Lipscomb and the Bisons.
I really like this move. I think this is a good idea for Lipscomb, and this was a guy who had been on their radar for following along in the process. Seemed like this was one of 3 or 4 guys that they had marked. He's done a really good job in just a few years at Trevecca, and before that, I don't remember exactly where he came from, but I know he was a consistent winner there too. So this just made too much sense, I feel like, for Lipscomb to not pull the trigger on Trevecca coach Kevin Carroll.
It will be fascinating to see. Lipscomb is one of those programs that obviously has trended upward under head coach Lenny Acuff, and now at Sanford, as we discussed a lot. But I'm going to be curious to see if they can continue that upward trend. They have got some pieces to be obviously NCAA tournament team, just like we saw this season. Be interesting to see if they can continue that success first, and then maybe even potentially under Coach Carroll take it up to the next level. Speaking of college athletics, Blaine, a story that caught my eye not too long before we went on air, but it sounds like the University of Colorado, make of them what you will, both past and present, but it sounds like the University of Colorado is getting ready to announce 2 jersey retirements, not necessarily of guys from yesteryear, not even necessarily of guys from last decade. It is announced that the Buffs will retire Travis Hunter's number 12 and Shedeur Sanders' number 2. My immediate question, Blaine, is that too soon to be retiring jerseys for guys that were literally on the team last year?
Well, I mean, theoretically, both of these guys are probably going to go top 10, top 15 at worst. We know that Travis Hunter's a top 5 pick. We don't really know where Shedeur's going to go. These are bona fide first-round picks for the 2025 NFL Draft from Colorado. And my counterpoint to that is, when is the last time we had a bona fide first-round pick from the University of Colorado? It's probably quick to be making this assessment and this call, but leave it to Prime, to Coach Prime, to kind of set a trend in a certain way like this. And I mean, I don't hate it, because these are, like I said, 2 bona fide first-round picks, and maybe my memory is fading, but I can't remember the last time there was somebody of that ilk, that caliber from that school.
I'm with you, and I feel, man, I feel old, kind of almost. My immediate reaction, not necessarily with Hunter. My thing with Hunter's jersey, he won the Heisman. That almost, in a way, kind of qualifies you for just automatic exemption status almost. Like you're automatically. Sanders, I'm on board with, but man, just right after he leaves, regardless of draft position, it felt a little, like I said, get off my lawn-ish on my part, but I just was, the timing of Sanders felt a little too soon. But both of those guys should have their jerseys retired, I think, by
you
that
say
school.
In the long run, they both should. You're just saying
for sure
that Shedeur's is too early.
I think Shedeur's just, if I'm going to nitpick here, but I also
have no problem.
Yeah, and I also get it too, I guess, they're so synonymous with each other, you got to almost kind of do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of get it, but it just kind of caught me a little bit. And I haven't checked any social media chatter. I'm sure there are #takes out there on this. You did ask about this. 4 numbers in the 135-year history of Colorado football have been retired. The number 24, which was worn by Byron White in the early 30s. Number 67, Joe Romig of the late 1950s. Number 11, which was famously worn, as I'm sure you will remember, watching Bobby Anderson in 67 and 69, Blaine. But one that we might be familiar with, certainly, number 19, Rashawn Salam, who was a stud in the early 90s, also Heisman winner. So those are the jerseys that are retired. But Colorado continuing to make some headlines even before the draft, which, speaking of which, I want to get your thoughts. I want to get the latest scuttle from you, Mr. Kellar here. As a member of the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast here on the Main Street Sports Network, we'll call it. But as a member, what's the latest chatter? What did you guys talk about? What are the Titans? There's no way they're not taking anybody other than Cam Ward, it feels like, at this juncture, right?
Yeah, throughout our drive to the draft on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast, we've had some experts come on. And in the early stages, the thought was trade back, team trade back. You know, get to 5, get to 6, get a bundle of picks, wait for next year to get one of those pristine quarterbacks in the class. Then the thought shifted to Travis Hunter is the bona fide number 1 athlete in this draft, so you should take him number 1. The thought was also Abdul Carter is the bona fide number 1 athlete in this draft defensively. You should take him number 1. But I think as we've drawn closer and closer, there's been little doubt that number 1 selection is going to be Cam Ward, Miami out of the quarterback out of Miami. Did I say the Miami out of quarterback there?
I think you were going there.
We're nearing 2 hours here. My brain's turning to mush. The quarterback out of Miami, Cam Ward, seems to be the consensus number 1 selection. In our last Tennessee Pro Football Podcast, we spent a lot of time looking at those later round selections that might make a difference for Tennessee. Former friend of the program, Chris Yao, former Main Street Media digital publisher, regional publisher, put in his take for Clay Webb, the Jacksonville State offensive lineman. Kyle Williams was a guy we really liked out of Washington State, the receiver who has connections with Nick Holes and Cam Ward. Finding a guy that might have some familiarity across the board there. There were Femi Oladejo, a UCLA edge, a guy who kind of transitioned from linebacker to edge might be worth a look there. It really all kind of boils down to if the Titans find a way into the second round or if they stay in the third round and hope that one of these second round talents falls.
Absolutely. And, we've kind of gone in a full circle, right? The Titans, when you get that number 1 pick, you immediately think a quarterback in almost every single draft. That's kind of what you initially think. And then we talk ourselves into position here, position there. And the Titans have kind of done this full circle where now we're back to the quarterback position. I guess the real question is, we just talked about Shedeur Sanders, and there have been some rumblings, maybe going to go work out for the Giants just when we thought maybe the Giants were settled at quarterback. If they're in the market at number 3, if you are the Giants, is there still any chance? They seemingly are the only team at this point, save for maybe the Saints. Is there any chance still of a trade being out there for the Titans in your mind?
Well, Cleveland, of course, being that number 2 team, having signed Joe Flacco again and having Kenny Pickett on roster, that's not an option. The Saints would take pretty much everything that they have to jump from that, later, I think it's, around the 10 range to get to number 1. That seems like too much of a haul considering they're already in a very, very bad situation. The Giants, from what I kind of picked up on this situation, it feels like an owner trying to make more moves than the front office, the rest of the front office and the coaching staff. Because you've already signed Jameis and you've already signed Russell Wilson. So then you're going to add a third quarterback to that? It doesn't make a lot of sense, even if Cam Ward is as quote-unquote generational as people think he is. That's still left to be determined. You've got 2 solidified options that have served as quality quarterbacks in the past, in Jameis and Russell Wilson. And if it goes haywire, hey, you get Arch Manning next year. That's not that bad of a consolation prize. If it were me, if I were the GM of the Giants, I'd stay put.
I'm kind of talking myself into that as well. It caught me off guard more than anything, that the fact that they were still maybe kicking the tires on Shedeur Sanders, and then now I'm starting this circle all over again of maybe
maybe it goes toward the Giants and Saints having some action, right? That they trade into a deal. Saints move up to 3 and get the quarterback that they want. And then the Giants move back. Shador's probably going to be there either way. I mean, the rumblings are also that Jackson Dart might supplant Shador Sanders as the number 2 quarterback in the draft. And if that's the case, the Giants really like Shador. You're not taking as much of a risk to get him at 10 as opposed. Now you're missing out on Travis Hunter probably, which could be a huge, detriment to your franchise. But if you're really in love with Shador and you can get him at 10, I don't think that's the end of the world.
I'm with you too. It just feels like posturing in a sense, or increasing or decreasing, trade value, trade bait. So
my one thought on this that I'll kind of close with, and I haven't really even said this on the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast, is that if there is not that much trade rumor or trade actuality between the Titans and other teams who are quarterback needy. I know they've done their due diligence on this, but does that feel like a red flag? If there's not someone else clamoring for Cam Ward at number 1 and saying, we will give you so much for this guy. If no other team's willing to do that, why are you willing to take it?
You're right, and that's a fair question. And as a fan and supporter of the Titans, it's kind of where I landed. Right, just their luck, as it were. That the year that they get the number 1 overall pick, there doesn't appear to be a clear consensus to pick or trade. And John Glennon, friend of the show, talking to us last week, kind of made mention that, any other year, you're not talking, you're okay with Cam, but he's not, you wouldn't just say he's pick 1-1, right? In almost every single draft. So that will be fascinating to see. Give us an update. I'm assuming you guys will have another pod, at least one more before next Thursday's opening round.
Yes, we will have one more on Monday, kind of recapping all of the guests that we've had, the draft experts that we've brought onto the show. And then we will have complete coverage of the draft going from 1-1 all the way to the end of the weekend. Terry will be at the facility. I might be there too. We don't really know, haven't hashed out that plan yet, but we will have plenty of coverage coming on TitanInsider.com and with the Tennessee Pro Football Podcast.
Looking forward to that. Again, it will be busy next week when the NFL draft does crank up from Green Bay on Thursday. And the Titans are on the clock. Whether they exercise that pick seems inevitable that they will take Cam Ward, but who knows? A lot to be determined between now and then. Final break, final segment coming your way here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back, Blaine and I will close the show with Top 5 Tuesday, and it's ballpark season. I can taste some of the items. I'm headed to the ballpark just as soon as we get done, and I got 1 or 2 items that are on my list. We will debate the best items at the concession stand when Blaine and I return. Final segment coming your way next here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Hey, let's go Stros.
People are amazed at the variety and quality of guests we bring into Main Street Sports Today. But when you've been in this business for nearly 40 years and you never throw away a phone number, it's pretty easy. Right, Wade?
Absolutely. And Wynn agrees with me. Check out some of our guests featured on Main Street Sports Today.
Step back and catch my breath. But I expect nothing less from you, big boy. Let's get going.
We make it work pretty good. So
the fans are tremendous. It's fantastic.
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
From preps to pros, you never know who's going to stop by, so be sure to listen to and watch Main Street Sports Today from 2 to 4 p.m. daily on the MSM TV app.
Welcome back, folks. Final segment here on Top 5 Tuesday. It is Top 5 Tuesday as Blaine Kellar and Wade Neely bring you the last little bit on this fun Tuesday show. Been an honor sitting in the saddle with you here today, Blaine. All right, let's not waste too much time, but it's ballpark season. Top 5 concession stand food items. Blaine, you are our special guest, so I want you to start us off. You will go, and then I will go. There was some consternation with you in the past on there, as I understand it. So give us your first overall pick as far as ballpark foods.
Yeah, and my last time, I think I had some – that was a baseball-related one. I had a controversial pick there, too. I'll have a controversial one here. My favorite food is nachos, and ballpark nachos aren't always the best. But when they hit, they hit. So my 1-1 to probably some shock and awe is going to be a good plate of some ballpark nachos.
I'm with you on that. It is a gamble, no doubt. When you pick nachos, they could be good, they could be bad, but when they are good, they are great. So that's a good pick. And you have opened the door. My 1-1 overall was the hot dog. I don't care if I'm even at a basketball game. I don't care if I'm in a football game. I'm going for the hot dog. There are many other items, but that's about as good as it gets. Throw a little dash of mustard on it, maybe some relish if you got it. Hot dog to me signifies baseball, ballpark season and all. So give me the hot dog as number 1.
I'll tell you something that signifies baseball for me. As I covered Austin Peay baseball while I was in college, it was during COVID when they would have Ohio Valley Conference double headers. Those were some of the longest days of my life and some of the most sunburnt I've been before. But the way that I'd keep myself fed for whatever reason throughout those days was through a box of popcorn. So with my second overall selection, I'm going with popcorn to pair along with the nachos.
Popcorn is a good pick. Scott Stewart is a popcorn connoisseur, and that is his go-to. Since I can't pick popcorn in his honor, though, I will pay small respect to the Pulaski Citizen Publisher. Give me cheeseburger for number 2. Blaine, we're going to have to roll with these here.
I'm going peanuts number 3. I like the messiness of it all. Feels like I'm in a Texas Roadhouse a little bit. So we're going nachos, popcorn, peanuts for me.
I love that. Ballpark, it's usually hot. Give me a icy freeze pop, some sort of ice cream. But really, if you got the old school icy, is going to be number 3 for me.
How about just to stay quenched from all this saltiness, I'll go a souvenir soda cup. So you get the soda, you pay a little extra for the cup that you keep in your cupboard for forever. Souvenir soda.
I'm with you there. Give me chicken tenders on the list. Not always the best, but they can be good. That's a sneaky pick for me late.
Again, that is a gamble. Chicken tenders, just like nachos. I'll close out another gamble more times than not. It's pretty mushy, but I'll close out with some French fries, preferably the chili cheese fries if they've got them.
I'm with you there too. A little bit of a cheat on my last pick, but I'm going with the ice cream helmet, only in the helmet if possible. Not every. It's kind of a cheat because I said the icy earlier, but give me all the sweet treats, I guess.
How did I not even think of that? That's a great pick.
Stay wise, young friend. Blaine, I'm sorry we ran up on time here, but thank you for joining us today. Best of luck with this week and the draft, and have a happy Easter, my friend.
Thank you, Wade. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here on Main Street Sports today.
Blaine Kellar with us here today. Wade Neely saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.